Hi, guys. Woo! Yes! Love it. Love it. How cool is this? We didn't plan this. The lighthouse here, lighthouse here. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about the concept of attraction marketing, also known as content marketing, and an analogy that really clicked with me will hopefully help you too, and it involves a lighthouse. So first off, we kind of already went through who I am. I'm just a real estate agent in Salt Lake City. I'm just a dude that sells houses, and before real estate, I was in customer service, I was in call centers, I detailed cars, I did construction. Like, I was kind of aimlessly wandering. Oh, I didn't find my true north yet, right? So I was kind of wandering aimlessly until I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. That brought me into real estate investing. I met my broker, he brought me into to be a licensed agent, and that's how I became to be a real estate agent. I've since been published in Inman, RIS Media, Realtor.org, and a few other websites. I am married and I have a 2-year-old boy and a blue-nosed pit bull who's licking my son's face in that photo. And I love technology, I love social media, and I love marketing. So what's up with the lighthouse? I want you to think about this analogy and really think about what you're doing right now. When it comes to marketing and getting business, what are you doing right now and what do you want to be doing? So let's think about what a lighthouse does and what a tugboat does. So a tugboat, first of all, what do? They go out and rescue ships one at a time. A ship gets stuck, runs out of gas. I don't even know how ships work, to be honest. I don't know if they have gas. But I'm from Salt Lake. We don't boat much. But a tugboat goes out and rescues a ship one by one. It goes out, grabs it, brings it back to shore. Goes out, grabs it, brings it back to shore. Like a lot of us, we go out and get one client, we close it. Go out and get another client, we close it. And it's just one. But we have to go after them, right? But what does a lighthouse do? A lighthouse stands there and shines its light. It stands there and its value is its light. So it helps ships find their way back to shore. So it stands there and broadcasts. It shines its value, its light. And so which one are you right now in your business? Before I got into blogging, I was the tugboat. I was chasing, I was door knocking, I was making cold calls, and that was all about me. You know, I want to talk to 50 people a day, and out of those 50, 10 of them will talk to me, 2 of them will want to meet with me, and you know, it's like, hey, I'm the best realtor in the world, everyone else sucks, you should hire me. I didn't like doing that, and so I wasn't very good at that. And so then when I heard this analogy and I understood attraction marketing and content marketing, and I thought I would love to just create good content, write a good article, do a great video, do some snaps, and have people come to me without me even knowing that they're paying attention in the first place. So that changed everything for me. And really think about it. And if you are cold calling and that's working for you, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. Do what's working, but there's no reason you can't also be attracting business. You can do both. And the big key here is organic versus paid leads. I run a lot of Facebook ads. I love Facebook ads. I run Pinterest ads every now and then. Paid leads are great. Google AdWords are great, but there's nothing better than having your phone ring and it's someone who read one of your articles or watched one of your videos. They've already decided that they want to hire you, and they say, hey, we want to buy a house. Will you meet us at Starbucks? Or, hey, we need to list our house. How soon can you put a sign in the front yard? That's free. That's because of work that I did in the past, and now they've already made up their mind that they want to work with me. And those are the best leads ever. And if you talk about like ROI, there's nothing that converts better than an organic lead. It's almost 100% when they reach out to you, right? So you got to start attracting business. Blogging specifically, and I'm going to speak, the other guys are going to be talking about some other ways you can do this, but specifically with blogging, there's this new site called Google. It's a startup, actually, and Google is, I mean, I know there's Bing and some other things, but Google is it's what everyone uses. No one uses Ask Jeeves anymore. So you've got to really know how Google works and how you can use Google to get your content seen. what's great and why organic leads convert so well and why people have already decided they want to hire you, one of the big reasons is if they see you number one, we were talking about my moving to Salt Lake article earlier. If they see me at number one on Google, and when you see the first result in Google, what do you think? That's probably the best, or there's a reason why they're number one, right? They have credibility instantly because of that. So if you are ranking well on Google, you're going to get instant credibility in the eyes of the consumer. You can't do that anywhere else. So blogging is the way to get on Google's radar and to get this. Yeah, they must be the expert if they're on page one. And what's great about that too is if you're creating content that's good, over time, the longer it's there, the more it gets shared, the more people go to the site, the more, and I'll go over this in a minute, the more backlinks you get. That's when another website links to you. That keeps building over time, which means you keep getting more and more traffic over time, which means more and more leads, which means more and more business. So you Google moving to Salt Lake City, number one, baby. And what's cool is Google it didn't used to be this way supposedly, but if you wanted to rank for moving to SLC, you had to do a separate article and focus on ranking for that. Google's not stupid. They're very smart now, so I rank for all sorts of related keywords, relocating to Salt Lake, moving to SLC, anything you can think of relative to that term, I rank number one for. And look at these other companies, Move.org, Movado. It's because my site is local, and Google knows it's local content versus just some big national platform that's putting in some local keywords. This article, when you create good content, Google needs to, one good way to show Google that your content is good is if people are sharing it. Google sees social shares as, it must be good content if people are sharing it. So Google looks at those. It's very important that you learn how to get your stuff shared. This particular article, here's what I did. I had a client and his wife worked for visitsaltlake.com. They're a local media company, and it's all about tourism to Salt Lake, and I believe the government even funds that website. So my client's wife was the head of their social media department. I liked that. So I just reached out to her and I was like, hey, you know what? I just wrote this article about moving to Salt Lake, which perfectly dovetailed with what they're trying to do. I said, check it out. She checked out the article, she liked it. They posted it one time on Facebook, and I got the vast majority of those Facebook shares. Pinterest is a big one too for if you're blogging, because Pinterest also builds, the more pins you get, the more exposure that builds over time too. So social, man, that's a tongue twister. Social sharing is very important. You need to learn how to do that. And one killer article, just one article, can bring so much business to you, you have no idea. But if you never start, if you never try, it'll never happen. I get 2 to 10, sometimes more, organic leads every single week just from that article. Just for phone calls, emails, and then some of them fill out my lead capture forms on my site too. So they come in different forms, but every single week. And that's money in my inbox every single week. So what do you need to start? The interweb. Thank God Al Gore invented the internet for us. So yes, he did a great public service. You need your own website or blog. And you guys at Mason McDuffie have some pretty dang good websites already. But if you want to really do what I'm doing and really start to do it on a regular basis, you need to have your own domain name. Because otherwise, if you start building all this SEO value, it's going to be for Mason McDuffie, which is great. That's great, but you want it for you and Mason McDuffie. So get your own domain name. Mine's Search Salt Lake. It doesn't have to necessarily be anything mortgage related or anything like that. I mean, how generic is that? But that's why it works. You need to devote some time to blogging. The more you do it, the better you're going to get, the quicker you can do it. But if you can do one article a week, that is fantastic. I honestly don't do one a week. I try to. Sometimes I do one every 2 weeks, one every 2.5 weeks. But try to do once a week. And it's going to take longer in the beginning, just like anything. You've got to learn how it works, and once you do, you can bust through it pretty quick. You really need to make a mental commitment to learning how it all works. Man, when I first started, it was so intimidating. Just SEO, search engine optimization, was so intimidating to me because there's so many, it seemed so complicated, there's so many moving parts, and I thought it's going to take me a year to learn this. But I just started watching videos, I started reading articles, and then asking my blogging mentors questions, and day by day, one day at a time, if you learn a little bit more each day, pretty soon you've got a handle on it, and it just makes sense. So, and it only took me a few months to really get a good handle on SEO. Building backlinks is absolutely crucial. The reason why I wrote those articles for Inman and RAS Media and everything, yes, the exposure that got me was great, but I wanted the backlink from those guys, because those are high authority websites in the real estate industry. And so when you have a high authority website linking back to yours, Google sees that as your website must be authoritative as well. So they boost what's called your domain authority. The more quality sites that link back to yours over time, the better your overall domain authority is going to be, which domain authority is what helps Google figure out, should we show your site or Joe's site for this keyword. So whoever has the highest authority usually is going to be shown. Backlinks is the way to do that. And it doesn't have to be real estate. It could be, if you have your LinkedIn profile, right? If you write an article on LinkedIn, link back to your site, that's a backlink. So what do you need to learn first? Keywords. Keywords are what people are searching for. Brian Solis did a good job of explaining that, keywords are part of the equation, but they're not everything. But Google looks for keywords. So like I showed you, moving to Salt Lake City, that was the keyword I was trying to tackle with that article. That article was written to rank for the moving to Salt Lake City keyword. You need to spend some time learning how that works. Google has a free research tool to find out which keywords you should focus on, which ones you shouldn't, based on how many people are searching for them and how competitive are they. So if you Google keyword tool, you'll find that. Give it some time to learn. At first it's a little overwhelming, but just read some articles, watch some videos, and you'll get it. You just have to make the effort to learn that. Then you need to learn titles, headlines, and graphics. These are super important. Titles and headlines, not just for the SEO that Google's looking at, but think about when you're scrolling through Facebook and you're just scrolling through at hyperspeed like I do. What's going to get your attention? What gets your attention away from the hyperspeed scroll? It's a graphic and or a really good headline. So you need to learn how to write those, and the best way to do that is just to re-engineer or reverse engineer what gets your attention. Like really, tonight when you're on Facebook, when you're laying in bed, scrolling through, be conscious of what's stopping you, what's getting your attention, and then try to figure out if there's a pattern with that. I guarantee there is, and then try to figure out how you can use that to write headlines, write titles, and then create graphics. We already talked about the SEO. You really need to learn that because that's what Google uses to determine who they put in the number 1 spot, who do they put in the number 2 spot, and who do they put on page 12. And then social frickin' media. You need to learn social frickin' media. Not only for everything we talked about earlier with the authenticity and building relationships and everything, but social shares helps Google see, okay, this is good content, we need to bump this up to page 1, or maybe you're on page 6 and you go to page 3. Social media shares can help you do that. SEO, again, is search engine optimization. It's how, a lot of this I've already talked about, but that's how you get your stuff shown on Google. That's how you get on the first page, is good SEO. It takes time to build. Even if you write the best article ever written, it's not going to show up on page 1 12 hours from now. It's just not. So you have to give it some time. You have to build some backlinks for that particular article, ideally. You need to get it out there on Facebook and you post it. If you start seeing some good engagement, One sec, my friend. If you start seeing some good engagement, put some money behind it. Put 20, 30 bucks into sharing, run a Facebook ad to boost that article and get it going, because that'll get more shares. Go ahead.
How do you get backlinks?
So a backlink, there's a bunch of different ways. If you know someone who runs a website, first off, you could guest blog for them, like I did with Inman. Like, I came to them and said, I wrote this article on Snapchat for real estate. Are you interested in publishing it? They said yes. And then Inman's weird about backlinks. Most people are glad to give them, but Inman's weird. So I had to specifically ask them, hey, I'd like a backlink, please. And then you just do that over and over and over. Maybe you know someone who has a website or a blog. We all know someone who has their own blogs. Ask them to link to you somehow. Get your realtor partners, if they have websites, get them to put a link to your website on their site. Little stuff like that, and then you keep doing it over and over and over. Luckily for you, there's some awesome SEO tools out there, especially when you're new, because there's so many little teeny things that you need to learn. So if you have a WordPress website, there's a plugin called Yoast SEO, and it's basically a guide that says, based on how many words your article is, we suggest you use your keyword this many more times, use an image, do this, do that, and it ranks your SEO strength. Yoast SEO is great for that. And if what I just said sounds like Japanese, don't worry. Just learn a little bit today, then learn a little more tomorrow, and just keep going. Pace yourself. It's very overwhelming at first, because I wanted to be successful with it tomorrow. Like, when I got started, I'm the least patient guy ever. I wanted to get leads tomorrow. But you have to tell yourself in your mind, okay, I'm going to give this 6 to 8 months before I really expect to see some good results from it. Chances are you probably get some leads beforehand, or some other good things come from it. But if you set your expectation of 6 to 8 months of consistent blogging and something happens quicker, that's awesome. And setting your mental expectation is going to help you and prevent you from getting frustrated if it doesn't happen after 3 or 4 months too. So, what should you write about? You heard Shannon earlier say that she had a big mental block when it came to, what do you write about? This has never been an issue for me, because first off, I have ADD like crazy, as you probably noticed. And so I have ideas come into my head all the time. If that happens, if you're driving down the street and you're like, ooh, you see something and it reminds you of this would be a good topic, throw it into your phone, into Evernote or an Apple Notes thing, and just start writing down some topics. Here's some recent articles I did. The 10 best coffee shops in Salt Lake City. Pretty simple. 10 best parks and playgrounds in Salt Lake City. 5 new sushi joints you've never heard of. Stuff like that. Nostalgia is so key. I've had so much success with nostalgic content, both in blog articles and on social media. The reason why, it goes back to what gets your attention on social media. If you see Teddy Ruxpin or some toy from your childhood, you're going to notice that. So use nostalgia, and especially with the topics. An old shopping mall that shut down 10 years ago, everyone remembers and loves. I did an article about one of those. The Cottonwood Mall. New photos of the old Cottonwood Mall. It's not there anymore, but I put like 40 photos in there. Look, over 6,000 Facebook shares. My coffee shops article, that's the graphic. Best parks and playgrounds, I have 3,400 shares. Notice anything about those articles? They're not about real estate at all. They're about the area. They're about Salt Lake City, or something about Salt Lake City. So really think about what gets your attention. We already talked about this. Images get your attention if it's a good one. Videos, nostalgia, humor. Sometimes cartoons will catch your attention in the news feed. Interesting local stuff. Not that stupid stock photo right there. Not the 5 reasons only idiots sell their home for sale by owner. No one cares about articles like that. No one's going to stop scrolling. No one's going to share that. You're going to need to do some articles like that just for SEO to get people to your site for selling your home. But On social media, that's not going to help you. And try to avoid stupid images like that. SEO versus shares, we pretty much already talked about that. There's what Google likes and then what people like. What are they going to share? What's going to get their attention? You'd need to do some real estate or mortgage content for SEO, and then local and nostalgic stuff for social shares and SEO. So why do you guys need to do this? You need to get your own leads. If you have your own leads coming in, you can go up to that rock star realtor that you've been trying to get to work with you and say, hey, I have 3 buyers. You want to work with them? What do you think they're going to say? If you keep bringing leads, bringing buyers to your realtors, they're going to work with you. So the number one way to get my attention as a realtor is to bring me a client. Just give me a client. And all of a sudden, maybe I've never worked with you before, but you have my attention. And I feel obligated to reciprocate. So where do you start? You just have to start somewhere. You have to take the first step. You've all heard it before. How do what's the best way to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So just start. This is how you can find me. That is my snap code, to answer the gentleman's question. My username is a little sporadic. I'm at Search Salt Lake on Instagram, Twitter, and that's it. And Facebook, and then Dustin Brohm on the others. So go write some articles, guys.